welcome in all your O-Niners, PCHers, junior private detectives, Hearst College, whatever you are, and the new President-elect, Joe Biden, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris to Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast, where we go through episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
And we're here to talk about season 3, episode 4, Charlie Don't Surf.
Which is fair, because I don't surf either.
No.
You surf. You surfed.
Yeah, exactly. Past tense. It's been, let's see, when was the last time I surfed?
You've never surfed since I've known you.
Yeah, it could be 10 years.
You didn't love it.
No. I never wanted to do it like on my own. And then senior year, I had friends who did it, like a good friend, and he had a board, or other people always had a board. So it's like, yeah, of course. Like, what am I going to do? Like, sit at home? Like, I'll go with you guys.
I had a dream I was drowning last night because like big ocean waves. So I
Jesus.
feel like I personally, it was like nice though. I knew it was a dream.
Okay.
But I mean, not nice because, you know, drowning. But I personally think I have like a really big fear of being that far out in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to drown and I don't want to get eaten by sharks.
Yeah, luckily I've never seen sharks out there.
And I've never drowned, so I don't know why this is such a big fear of mine. Though I guess if you drown, usually
Right, then-
you only do it once.
Yeah, there's usually not a repeat.
Good God.
But yeah, we are recording this on the Saturday of the announcement of Joe Biden's win.
Woo!
Yeah. Celebrations cross country. Everybody excited.
My right eye is still twitching from not sleeping for 4 days.
Yeah, I took a nap. I got some sleep.
Yeah. I slept good last night, I think. It just takes me it took me a long time to wind down every night because I kept checking for something.
Totally. And it takes a few days to get back to equilibrium for sleep too, after like a week of not sleeping great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Oh, good news for sure. All the celebrations today. And you know, work to come, but we're celebrating today.
Yeah. Well, and as many people have said now, but one of my favorite anecdotes for politics is like a public transportation system. It is not your private car. So you pick the politician that will get you the closest to where you want to go, and you celebrate when you get there, and then you do the work to find someone else or find a way to get that politician to take you to the actual goal you want.
Yeah.
But you don't not go because the bus doesn't drop you off at your friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
You walk from the bus stop.
Yeah.
Which is a lot less work than walking all the way from your house to your friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right. And you know, just kind of on that note, it would probably be optimistic for a complete embrace from Joe Biden for any like complete embrace of progressives. He's doing the whole uniting the country sort of thing, which includes gesturing toward the right, which whatever. I'm not too pleased about, but there is more of an infrastructure now for getting involved in progressive causes and community action. So yeah, that there, at least in comparison to our last president that was very moderate, Obama, we know that Joe is moderate, rather than with Obama, there was a hope that there was
more progressive policies.
Exactly, yeah. Which you get with a charismatic leader who said he's gonna change things, but that didn't really end up coming to fruition. So there's at least more of an infrastructure going into it now, even if not happy. But
I also do feel like there is something to be said for like Obama was really green. So because of that, he could come in claiming that he wanted to do things. I mean, he wanted to do the things. It's not like he was against a lot of the programs that people wanted to do. It was more of there's, you know, when you're playing against another team that's not fair and you play fair, you're not going to win. So it's messy.
But he wasn't progressive. Like his policies were moderate. And I think that's where like the rubber meets the road. Like moving toward the ACA was like a good idea, but it's like not great in execution.
Mm-hmm.
And he had he talked about decreased militarization, but like drone strikes were a huge part of his first
Mm-hmm.
term. So he didn't really, his policies never really wanted to like rock the boat and like push it farther left.
No.
So
And I mean, there's a lot to be said on like the idea that, yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated.
Yeah.
But I am excited.
Exactly. Yeah. And I am too.
Kamala Harris is now the first female vice president elect. It's the highest office a woman has held in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Karamo on Instagram. I was watching his Instagram stories this morning, and he was crying because, you know, we're all crying.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, Hillary Clinton put a lot of cracks in that ceiling, but Kamala Harris got to like bust through it. And I think it's accurate, but it's also not, because we still have work to do in the sense that like a woman can't win as president right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she was in the primaries.
Mm-hmm. But it is exciting, and it is one step closer.
Yeah, totally.
And it is exciting for all of our really anyone in any minority at this point, when it's like, okay, like we can see that someone other than a white man can do this and do it more than once, because like we've had Obama as the president, and now we have her as vice president. We have more representation in a sea of very pale white.
Yep.
And one orange spray tan.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't ever want to talk.
Not afraid to show the pale. Yeah. So I mean, a day for celebration for sure.
Yes. I think it's important to note that, one, we should never glorify our politicians regardless of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
We have this really awful habit as a society of being like, okay, like, I am supporting this politician, and so I don't want to hear anything bad about them.
Yes.
And there is something bad about everyone. People are inherently good and bad. They are not one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You are a human. You do human things. You have human reactions. There's a lot of miscommunications and anger and passion, which is beautiful and what's human, but everyone has that.
Yeah.
So when you
politicians don't always the policies they put out, no matter who it is never going to agree with you to like 100%.
Well, and also some of the times it's them trying to appease a specific market. Like, you don't know what happens behind closed doors, and I just think there's so many pieces to the puzzle of a human, and then the puzzle of a politician. And so I just want to make sure, regardless of who you support, I mean, if you support Trump, you can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But regardless of who you support on the left,
Yep.
you have to remember that you cannot solely glorify one politician. Because now I see a lot of, I'm really impressed and also concerned but impressed, because they seem to be self-correcting. So like on TikTok, a lot of Gen Z is very much like AOC, like we want AOC to run for president, and they're like, don't trust any politicians except for AOC. But some of them are like, no, all of them. AOC is still a person, and you don't glorify her either. She is still a human. She is still going to do things you don't agree with. She still might make comments you don't agree with, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But no, regardless of who your representatives are, your president is, or if you voted for them, you are allowed to critique them.
Yes.
Even if you support them.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you can disagree with people on a myriad of things, and that doesn't make it.
And that extends to Biden and Kamala.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think it's a lot easier for us to do that, but it's important to remember to do it in a humane way if you want to see change. So I think it's really,
yeah.
I don't see anything awful about Biden or Kamala today or anywhere on the internet, but I also, am not on a far right internet spree.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think it is important to call out the more like moderate swings that is like following behind them.
Yes, definitely. And I just think in general, like regardless of who it is, you are allowed to call people out and not
Yeah.
agree.
Absolutely.
And I think we as a society then will paint people as good or bad because of that. Like it's very black and white when it doesn't need to be. It's very gray.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when you cross the lines of not protecting human rights, not protecting the LGBTQIA community, not protecting the Black community, not protecting women and their access to healthcare, like obviously those are lines that that is black and white. But how we get to certain things like hopefully universal healthcare and things like that, it's gonna be messy, and there's gonna be things on all sides that you're like, I don't like that. So it's okay to not like things.
Mm-hmm.
Politics is not necessarily likable.
No. But yeah, that's our politics 10 minute, something like that.
You might want to cut that down for those.
Yeah, I'll cut out the pauses of my brain farting. So, do we want to jump into Neptune and a time previous? Bush administration. Yeah, Bush.
Yep. Sure. So here we go. Bush v. Gore. Like I was 7. No.
Well, okay. So this would be.
What year was this?
This is 2007. So round 2.
Yeah.
2006. But yeah, should we dive right in?
Yep.
All right. So there's a special guest coming over for dinner. That's right, Logan, arriving at Veronica's house for a nice little family get-together.
It was Keith's idea.
Yes, of course.
Because he said, me plus idea equal good. And I was like, I will save that for later.
Which, of course, like, it's not like they're hanging out all the time at all. There's very much a separation between Veronica, Logan, and Keith. Because, I mean, you know, it's hard to be a big fan of Logan with all the shit going on as a father. But they sit down for a lovely dinner where Veronica interjects whenever Keith asks about intimate personal questions.
Yes. Veronica is very jumpy. It is very, very much like when I worked in HR and I sat in a lot of interviews, and there are certain things you're not allowed to talk about in interviews, specifically, like, you know, depending on the state and country you live in. And I never reacted like that, but sometimes people would get really close to that conversation where you're like, okay, we got to turn this around because we can't talk about this at work. You know, like you can't ask women if they're planning on having children and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, do you have a family? And I'm like, turn it around. You can leave whatever information you want about yourself to an employer, but they cannot ask you a lot of information, and it has to be you have to be really careful.
And Keith blowing right past it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, obviously, Keith, you know, he's trying to get the details. He's an investigator.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, let's push this. And he doesn't have to abide by any sort of employment laws because he's not hiring Logan.
Right.
But it gave me flashbacks to that where you're just like, oh, God, oh, please don't ask that. Please. Okay. Okay, well, that was fine. And they answered it okay, and no one looked stressed, and they probably wouldn't even care. But, like, let's not let this happen.
Yeah, note that for the future.
Yeah.
No more of these questions.
I know you were just having conversation, but you can't do that. No, you may not. But yeah, it was quite funny because she offered to have pre-screened his questions, but he hadn't jumped on that, and you know. I also thought it was funny because I'm like, why does Veronica not trust Logan to answer these questions? Like, he's media trained.
Totally. And he's like a charming motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's used to this. Like, he can like, he was probably great with parents before the media circus.
Yeah. I'm sure the Kane family loved him.
Yeah, totally. Oh, Logan's here. Logan, hi, welcome. But yeah. That he can't answer simple questions from Keith.
Yeah. So, you know, it's an interesting dinner, and
Yeah.
Then we go back to school. Veronica goes to see her friend Mac. Mac is not home. Parker is home. Last time we talked about Mac was working out with Parker. They were at the gym. Now Mac is in Bakersfield at her great aunt's funeral or something like that. And I was just like, yeah, you know, if I'm gonna die, don't do it in Bakersfield. You do my funeral somewhere fun, damn it. We're having her funeral at Disneyland.
I'm assuming her great aunt lived a long, lovely life in Bakersfield. Visited Disneyland many a time.
I mean, it's really not that far of a drive.
No,
But it is sinking.
Bakersfield?
The parts of the Central Valley, I believe, that are like right at Bakersfield and south of it, like that tip of the Central Valley, that ground is literally like sinking. I think I read about that during like one of those big earthquakes, and like when I got really into seismology. Like it's literally sinking.
Yeah, totally.
The ground is sinking.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
That's so weird. And it's like on the other side of mountains. It's not even a coastal town. So it's just...
Well, because it's just like sediment. The whole Central Valley was a desert at some point. So it's just like...
Put it on top of it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, so apparently we find out enough about my knowledge of Bakersfield that...
We can circle around back.
That Parker did not talk to Mac about forgiving Veronica at all, which I'm like, Mac, you had one, throw your girl a bone. You've been through trauma. Veronica's been through trauma.
Yeah.
Parker's been through trauma. What a fun group therapy session.
Exactly. We get a fun conversation about that right now, too.
Yeah, so then Parker's like, well, like, you just thought I was a slut and blah, 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 and that's why you let that happen. And Veronica's like, no, I know exactly how you feel. I have also been drugged and raped. And Parker's like, oh, I didn't know. Right. And I do feel bad because they kind of make it seem like Parker's the bad guy in this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one told Parker. It's not her fault.
No, yeah, that extends through the episode.
Yeah, and if literally I don't feel like a character like Parker would react like this.
No.
Like someone who just wanted to like go and have fun. Like you don't immediately become jaded.
Right.
That's not how that works.
Mm.
I mean, I can't say that for everybody, but
right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then Veronica's there, and there's a knock at the door, and it's one of the girls from the newspaper that I don't remember any of their names.
God, yeah. They really don't like. They get like one scene each, so it's like fuck. I can't. Like,
and they gloss over the names. So she's like, "Hey, Parker, I want to talk to you," and Veronica's like, "I'd be careful because this paper's a little, a little skeezy." And Parker's like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about this either. But then she asked Parker if she'd been at the
Pi Sigs? Pi Sig.
Phi Sig?
Phi Sig, sorry.
No, Phi Sig's real. Pi Sig.
Yeah, I think Pi Sig. I wrote down Pi Sig, so I hope that's correct.
Yeah, I think that, because I think Phi Sig is a real fraternity. But yeah, so more on that later. Then we go over to Logan. He's talking to his like financial advisor,
dad's business manager.
Yeah. And he's like, Logan, you're burning through your trust fund. There's a lot of money that you've just blown right through. And Logan's like, that's interesting because I don't feel like that's 100% accurate.
Right.
Why, yes, I do spend money.
And why, yes, I do live in a hotel instead of like paying rent somewhere.
I don't own property. I just live in this hotel room.
Yeah, I can only imagine how much it would cost to like consistently live in a hotel room.
Well, and why? For the
True.
room service?
Yeah, maybe just having like, all that service that comes with staying in a hotel.
Okay,
Changing
so
your bed and all that.
Yeah, I would probably like you could get me to live in a Disneyland hotel.
Oh, there you go. But like, how much do they give you a discount for like living there for like a year? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. It depends. I guess it depends on the hotel too.
Right.
Because like those like Home to Hilton suites, like you can rent them as like, remember we stayed in one? You can rent them as like a I think you can do like a long term, like a business.
Oh.
Like like when people travel and they have to be somewhere for like 2 months.
Gotcha. Right. So something like that, they could potentially negotiate something that's not just like a nightly rate.
Yeah, but I have no fucking idea, and I also I that wouldn't be my choice.
No.
But like Mickey Mouse, I gotta go live with him.
Mm-hmm.
Got nice beds. Watch the fireworks every night.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe a little pump in the smell of churros for me.
Wake up calls from, well, I guess any number of Disney characters.
Yeah. You could probably learn which ones are which days.
Exactly. It's Tuesday, so I'm going to get.
Yeah. And then, we cut to the emo theme song.
Yes.
After Logan thinks, someone is skimming off the top of my trust fund.
Yeah. Still not used to it.
Yeah, it's weird. It throws me off every time.
Yep. Bad. I'm like, oh, we're kicking in, and then somber.
A long time ago.
No.
It's very moody. And then we have Keith. He's working. He's sitting at his desk. He's working bish. And a lady comes in, and she tells Keith that she thinks her husband is cheating on her, and she wants to catch him because they're in a loveless marriage, and she wants a reason to leave. Her name is Harmony, and he's like, okay, like I'll do my spy thing, but like you can tell there's a little something between the two of them. There's a little flirty flirt.
Yeah, totally. So Harmony is played by Laura San Giacomo, I think is how you say that last name. So I immediately recognize her, in the same reason why I recognized Keith or Enrico Colantoni. There you go. Was from this sitcom in the 90s, Just Shoot Me, which they played opposite each other. And I believe they had it was like Sam and Diane relationship kind of thing. Like, will they, won't they? They were like the center of that sitcom.
Got it.
So when this like episode was coming up, and he pretty much like brought her in because they were like good friends, and it's like, oh yeah, this would be great. Like, we would totally be great to like work together again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a little
Nice.
background.
Then we cut over to the what I have written down, rape paternity.
Okay, so Veronica's at the info desk once again, making like just blatant calls about where books are located. And it's like, how did you do this?
Well, someone asked Russian literature, and she said,
oh, was it that?
Yeah, it was that obvious. It was like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, or something like that.
Okay. It's just like, where is she just like pulling these from? But
well, and she just said like the names of the authors. She didn't say like any sort of location.
Oh, I thought she did. I thought she was like bookcase on the left or something like that. But very good at her job. Very competent, of course. And Wallace walks up. It's like, oh, hey, we haven't seen you in a bit. That the Pi Sig events all corresponded with the nights of the... Pi Sigs had events that corresponded with the nights of the sexual assaults.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like written in the student paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get a cut to Keith leaving and finding a wandering blonde boy in his courtyard.
The opposite of a stray dog, because you
yes.
don't want it and it's not lovable.
Yeah, he is a dog. Dick Casablancas is looking for Veronica because he needs Veronica. Wants to hire Veronica to find out or to clear the Pi Sigs names, pretty much, because they are going to be brought before the not school board, but the powers that be at a college that I can't think of the name right now.
Like the superintendent, or
yeah, whatever it is, they're going to have like a case, and to decide whether they like get their like charter revoked or not. And so Veronica is going to refuse, realizes that it would get her full access to the fraternity, and also realizes she can use this as leverage to get full access to the fraternity, and also requests $1,500, which Dick agrees to, because Dick is like, how much can an investigation cost? $1,500?
Exactly.
Anything to help your brothers out.
Exactly. Well, and I assume they like communally funded that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they all have money.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Keith makes a steak for stakeout, steak not pictured, and is staking out the husband who's working late and sees him with another woman, but the woman looks like they're just like working late, like come back from a drive. But while he's waiting on the stakeout, calls Harmony, flirts a little bit on the phone. They're having a nice time. Keith getting a little too attached to the client. Can't do that in the private dick game.
Well, and just in general.
Yeah. Also married. And he snaps pictures of when the husband comes back with the coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Everything above board, though.
And then he has her come into the office, right? She brings pizza because it's lunchtime.
Yep. She offers
She offers.
to bring pizza.
But she brought pizza.
Right.
I don't think she offered. She just said, I brought pizza.
I thought she said on the phone she offered to bring pizza.
Oh, I thought she said, I only have an hour for lunch, so I brought lunch.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh, yeah, I don't have a lot of time either. And she's like, good. I'm glad I brought extra.
There you go.
They have pizza together. And her husband's name is Martin. The woman that he's been with is Carly Hearn. And, you know, he gives her a little microphone to put in his tie when she ties his tie for him, which to me is a lot of fucking work.
Yeah, that seems
Really obvious.
like extra. Yeah. You could probably just like see what's happening, and like if he's having an affair, then he's having an affair, and you'll find him.
Well, and
In terms of Keith's job.
no, because that's how it ends up playing out. Remember, microphone matters.
Very true. Yeah, they need it for the end game. But if you were just someone trying to find an affair,
Yeah. Also, I feel like if I put a microphone in your tie while tying your tie for you, you would see it.
probably.
Well, actually, you probably wouldn't, because you wouldn't think that I'd be putting a microphone in your tie. And I'd have to tie the tie on myself to put it on you, because I can't tie a tie on someone else. I can only tie it on myself.
That is very true.
These are the facts of my life.
So they make that plan. Logan then asks Veronica to investigate his accounting errors because he doesn't, he's rightfully suspicious of his dad's business manager, which of course he's related to your dad, business wise. So then Veronica saunters over to the fraternity wearing a pantsuit and
Saunters
yes,
in a pantsuit.
yeah. That's what you do.
Do people saunter in a pantsuit?
I've never seen it. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Go put on your suit and tell me if you saunter. It's just
Do
like,
all the time in my loafers.
oh my god.
Yeah, good choice of words. Walks, doesn't run to the fraternity. And meets our good friend Chip.
Yes. She's like, I need to know who was where and when, and like what was happening on these nights. And he's like, I thought you were supposed to be proving that we didn't do it. And she's like, yeah, but I need to figure out who did do it. So I'm going to need you to tell me all of your alibis so that I can prove that it was not you and figure out what the fuck happened, because she was here. So he tells her that the bartender that night was a kid named something.
Charleston.
Charleston,
He's a pinball wizard.
yeah, was playing pinball, and Veronica's like, tell me about the night. And he's like, I put flat soda into plastic cups. And I was like, your frat doesn't even buy non-flat soda?
Right. How long have you held on to the soda?
Also, this frat house is like kind of like run down, which I'm like, I hope your dues are really low.
Yeah, hopefully. The skeevy frat.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but usually that tends to be the frat with money.
Right, yeah. They had $1,500. They just don't keep up their house, I guess.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, fine. Then, you were the last person to see her, so like best of luck on that trial, sir. And so then he's like, oh wait, I do know that when I made over $500 at bartending, and I'm like, whoa, you paid a drink at a frat?
I know.
What is this?
Soda. Well, I know it's not soda, but still, you're paying 500. You're paying money for alcohol at a frat. That's awful.
Yeah, I would never enter a frat house at this point in my life. But I said
When
that
I go out,
like I'm getting offered to go to frat houses all the time.
well, the last party we were at tried to charge us.
Yeah, they thought we were cops.
Yes.
They blacked out after one drink.
Thought it was a costume party.
Oh my god. He's like, yeah, when the bank reached $500, I was supposed to take the money to Chip so we don't get robbed. And I'm like, that's probably smart. And he's like, Chip was supposed to, like, I went to go take the money to Chip, but when I knocked on his door was locked. And then when he finally opened the door, he was naked and sweaty. And
Interesting.
I was like, yeah, I love working out in the middle of a party.
Exactly.
And I take off my
All my
clothes.
clothes.
That's why the door's locked.
Can't get a good pump if I'm clothed.
Yeah. And so Veronica's like, interesting. Then Veronica and Logan walk into Mars Investigations.
Before that, there is a protest outside the frat, and Veronica steps out with all the frat boys. So Parker is there with the protest, and it's of course like, really, Veronica? Like, what the fuck? You're at the frat?
She's wearing a pantsuit. Everyone must know she's working. I'm sorry. If I saw someone wearing a pantsuit in a frat house, I would not assume anything but like legal ramifications or being sued.
Yeah, it does look like she's there to like serve them.
Or like survey the house.
Right. But you can understand from maybe Parker's point of view, these are the enemy. These are the most likely suspects. And you didn't tell me that you were investigating them.
Just because people aren't the best people doesn't mean that they're the bad guy in that scenario. Right. Another lesson for us all.
It just looks bad, so you can understand. Like,
optics are not good.
Totally, and just got to be upfront with these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mars Investigations.
Yeah, so Dad and Harmony are chatting. I'm calling him Dad now. He's not Keith. He's Dad.
Dad. Hey, just call me Dad. Okay.
Did you have friends' parents who told you to call them Mom and Dad?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was gonna say I mean I don't know what Samantha always called my mom and I always called her mom and we never thought anything weird about that.
No.
I'm trying to think if anyone else did. I feel like certain parents I called them like Mrs. last name, and then other parents it was like Mom. There was no middle ground for me. I didn't have any parents I called by their first names.
No, I never did that. There was a few that were like, just call me this. I'm like, I can't do that.
Okay. That's funny, but what's your last name?
No, thank you. I am a child. Mm-mm.
Titans tie.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am, but I will not be referring to you as that.
I see what you're doing here. You're trying to trap me, and nope, not falling for your tricks.
We are not friends.
Yeah. You are Mrs. Blank, or you are Patrick's mom.
I love that you see it as like attack to be like bamboozled. You're like I'm being
just like I don't know what you're up to. It's these crazy adult things, but nope. I'm smart. Not falling into this.
Do you feel like maybe as a kid you always thought you were being tricked?
What do you mean? Couldn't be me.
I feel like maybe we should really tap into these trust issues at another time. You don't trust adults, and that's fair. Right. I get it. The adults don't help, but
yeah, no, this it was rough.
But anyway, Dad and Harmony are chit-chatting, and Veronica and Logan come in, and Harmony's like, the infamous Veronica who liberated a lobster. And Veronica's like, yeah, I did that once when I was 7. She's like, oh, Dad must tell that to all his clients. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, Keith.
Yep. Keith looks very caught in the act, too, of like, oh.
And then we find out that Keith's financial advisor has been looking over Logan's documents, and he's like, yeah, there's $10,000 a month going to a charity called Aaron's Kids. And Logan's like, yeah, my dad's like attempt at a charity or a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
But then Veronica looks into it, and we find out that Aaron's Kids with an S was a nonprofit that was shut down, but Aaron's Kids with a Z is just a funnel for money.
Yeah. Aaron's Kids with a Z is just a great charity name, quote unquote.
So then
which is also run by
Ari
the
Cunningham.
businessman.
Yeah.
Avi.
It's a really weird looking V. Then we cut to the place where they eat at the school. I don't know what to call it.
Cafeteria. That's what I wrote. The student center.
Veronica's like, yeah, I don't make any actions, Logan. Do not call your business advisor. Veronica's like, hey, Logan, do not take any action. Do not confront your business manager dude yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do a little more research. And he's like,
But I talk with my fists, Veronica.
And then it's
like, either him or the drywall.
She's like, hey, honey, I'm going to kiss you on the cheek really quick, and then I'm going to go over there and harass this frat boy really quick. And he's like, I love it when you do that. Mm-hmm. She kisses him on the cheek, and then he wipes it off with a napkin.
Yeah, I didn't like really pay attention. I was writing down notes, and then I look up, and you're like, he wiped her kiss away.
I just find it
so strange.
So weird.
It really is.
Yeah, so she's like,
that's such a funny detail. I'm really glad you caught it.
Hey, Chip, what really happened the night of the haunted house, and who were you hooking up with?
Right.
And why are your hands bruised? And he's like, I was working the boo room, so someone stepped on my hand or something. And she's like, what's the boo room? And he's like, it's a room where we jump out to scare people. And I'm like, I'm gonna
Isn't that the haunted house?
Boo you in the face, motherfucker. And he's like, I can't tell you who I was with because they won't say anything or whatever. And she's like, well, if you don't, then you can go to jail.
Yeah. And he says it in a typically smug way of like, I was with someone.
Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about hooking up with people and then you're like, ooh, but I'm not going to say anything, I just assume that you didn't actually hook up with anyone because like no one cares.
Right. It's the girlfriend from another school.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
But actually, it was the girlfriend of another brother. Charleston's girlfriend was hooking up with Chip that night. So I wrote down what happened to your hand.
Oh, so she goes and talks to so Charleston's girlfriend. Charles's girlfriend's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and runs into Dick. And Dick's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it sounds like you're like interrogating all our brothers. And she's like, yes, I am. And your hand's fucked up. What the hell happened? And he's just like, I walked into something.
And she's like, that's interesting because you have the exact same markings as another brother. So then Veronica's like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to lock myself in my room. I'm going to figure out what's happening with Logan's money.
I'm going to stay home, put on some candles, investigate some fraud.
I don't think Veronica lights candles.
No, but I'm just,
That's how you do it?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your fraud scent? Like fireside fraud or like...
Ooh. Yeah, where it's like the... like you get a little bit of the smell of like the logs, like in a fireplace.
You get like a little bit like mahogany smell too.
Yeah, so it's like an old man, like an office,
like a study.
Yeah, there you go.
A smoking room, if you will. They have some candles that smell like tobacco. I can't figure out why people like that scent.
Well, you're supposed to take it and you put it in your lip.
Not when it's in soy wax. Please don't eat the candles. Brenton, drop it.
It's better than the glass that cut your gums.
Oh my god. So Veronica is like, okay, I'm gonna solve this. So she draws out a little chart on a whiteboard. Because she's a visual thinker. Me too, Veronica. Me too.
Yeah.
She does a little.
And she's out of string.
She's like, okay, we've got Ryan Douglas, Ricardo Enterprises, all these other random like concepts from these files, and she comes to the conclusion that all the money's going to Charlie Stone. When she looks up Charlie Stone, she finds out that Charlie Stone is Logan's half-brother.
Bum, bum, bum. Which, surprising to Logan, of course. Us as viewers who know Aaron, not surprising. One half-brother? Aaron got lucky.
Yeah. And no one was supposed to find out. We find out that Charlie Stone was teaching at a private school in San Juan Capistrano. So we give Logan that information and we see what he does with it.
Very sad call to Charlie, wanted to reach out to him and, be brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And leaves a voicemail on Charlie's voicemail.
We cut back over to Parker. Parker's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just helping them. And Veronica's like, well, no, I'm using the access they gave me into their frat house to solve this case. And she's like, are you just all buddy-buddy with Dick? And she's like, you know Dick? And he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, before all this, I gave Dick my number. And Max said that he came by here to, like, see me the night of the assault. But he then left because I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Or the night before?
It was the night before, and that's when, I think it's in the first episode when he gets shooed out by the RA. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hammered
and he goes to Logan's and he's like, I've made a huge mistake.
And
so Keith is staking out.
Yes, he is.
That's all I wrote down for that.
Oh, Keith is staking out, trailing the husband, and the woman and the husband, Carly or whoever his coworker is, are leaving a meeting, and he's mic'd up. And so hearing them discuss meeting back and forth, walks her to her car and opens up the door, and she kisses him. And Keith takes pictures.
He gets the money shot.
Yep, and we cut there.
Then she sees Nancy, who's on the paper. On the paper?
No, Nancy's not part of the paper. She's just one of the protesters.
Okay. So Nancy is walking by, and Veronica's like, hey, I heard you went to the party and you were at the frat boys. And Nancy's like, yeah. She was like, they set up that boo room to try to like feel up girls. So we put rat traps on our I wrote down unmentionables. Did they say that in the episode? Did that come from my sleep-deprived brain?
That's really funny. Yeah, it was just body.
Yeah, it's put them on their body. And so then when the guys tried to touch them, the rat traps got their hands. Hence all the bruises. So then... And there's nothing else from that, right?
Well, so she gets chased out by Dick.
Mm-hmm.
Of being like, what the fuck? Like, you really bruised my hand. And loses Claire in it. And so that was the last she saw of her. And she thought she saw Claire, but it ended up being a different girl. And didn't see her the rest of that night.
Well, she thought she saw Claire, but when she called to her, she didn't turn around. So she decided it was a different person.
There you go.
Which to me is the weirdest, like... If I call one of my friends and they don't turn around and I see them walking with someone and I'm like, I think that's them, I would probably go see. Just because I'm nosy. My nosiness saves lives.
Right. And so then Veronica checks up on the convenience store that was nearby to see, because supposedly she had walked over that way. And finds out that, yes, she was in there with a guy.
She was super fucked up, and he had to send them over to the ATM to get money.
Yeah, because he was trying to buy condoms.
Mm-hmm. We have that, and then we go back over to Logan. Logan has a guest.
Yeah. Am I seeing double?
His brother Charlie showed up, but it's not played by any ordinary man. It's played by Logan from Gilmore Girls, or Matt
I was really hoping for pronunciation on the Wikipedia page, and it's like Suzurki. I'm saying Searchy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Apologies, Matt. I love you dearly.
So this was the Gilmore Girls was the lead-in to Veronica Mars in this season, which was Gilmore Girls last season.
Uh-huh. And so he's like, oh, hey, brother, and they're talking and they're like bonding over stories or whatever.
Hey, brother.
Hey. And he's like, why don't we go surfing tomorrow morning and bond? And so they make a plan, and Veronica shows up, and Charlie gets introduced to Veronica, and blah, blah, blah. And Veronica's like, why am I not happy for Logan? Something's fishy.
Yep, totally. And everyone to take action takes action.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Then we cut to the surf scene.
Oh, no. So she goes to the school.
Oh.
To his school to investigate, like, something's up with Charlie, and goes to San Juan Capistrano, finds the, the door with labeled Mr. Charlie Stone, his classroom. That's what I was trying to find.
I was like, why?
She found it way quicker than me. That's why she's a private detective. And finds out that it's a completely different person.
Yeah, so we find out that whoever showed up at Logan's is a fake.
A fraud.
So then we get a scene of them out in the water, and Logan from Gilmore Girls looks very uncomfortable on his surfboard. And Logan, the other Jason Doring Logan, he looks very stable. But I also then wonder too if it's like he's a bigger dude. Like, I don't know how easy it is to sit. And it looked like they were a little further in than I would think like you'd want to be to just be like sitting on a board.
They're past the break, so they are good. But yeah, maybe because like Logan has this established thing of surfing. Maybe Jason's a surfer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I call him Jason because we're friends.
You and JJ?
Yeah.
So they're sharing their stories. Logan shares some like personal story about how bad their father was.
Horrifying story.
Yeah, horrifying story about him like making him eat an entire thing of like pears.
Yeah, and shoving the pears down his throat.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely awful.
Yep. I mean, we know he's abusive and a killer, so. Yeah.
So then the guys come in from the surf, and Veronica's waiting for him on the beach. And Veronica's like, yeah, this isn't Charlie Stone. This is Norman Phipps. He's a Vanity Fair writer. And so Logan punches him in the face.
Right. Logan's like, you told me I couldn't punch my business manager, so now the fists are coming. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I get it.
And is, yes, very upset, of course.
We cut back to Keith and Harmony. Keith is like, yeah, I got this picture of them kissing, but then here's the audio. Your husband is faithful. He's like, no, please don't. Don't kiss me. Mm-hmm. It's not what the audio sounds like, but do you like my version of it? No kissies.
Right. Thank you, but no.
Veronica is like, after this, it's like, hey, Dad, remember that time you got photos from an ATM? Can you do that for me? Because I think I can solve this case if you get photos from an ATM. And so he does, and Veronica gets the photos. Veronica heads over to wherever they're doing the trial. It looks like an auditorium.
That's what I was assuming too. Yeah.
And she's like, hey guys, I have your evidence because whoever was with Claire wasn't a Pi Sig, because here is the photo of Claire getting the money out of the ATM that night after your party, time stamped like 2 a.m. or whatever. And this man is behind her. It's not one of you guys because he's Asian and you only have one Asian member in your fraternity.
Yeah. So, to that. Well, sorry, I'll let you finish and then I'll get back around to my thought. That guy is totally not with her, right? I don't. This isn't me speaking as people or someone who has like watched the season before, because I don't quite remember how this resolves. But he's totally not with her. He's just a guy waiting in line, right? That's my suspicion.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
That's just my hunch.
Huh. I have no clue. But yeah, so then while she's doing this, the women from the paper and some of the protesters and Parker are out there, and they're like, "How dare you, Veronica? You're an awful person." She's like, "I'm trying to find the truth." She's like, "And while that sucks because everyone's mad at me, I can't not find the truth." And as a Scorpio moon, I relate to that wholeheartedly. I think feelings are very important and they're valid, and I love validating them. But I also have to find the truth. And they can exist simultaneously.
There you go. Yeah.
But
Finding the actual serial rapist.
yes, exactly. Also because someone's still out there.
Exactly.
So then we cut back to the Charlie Stone debacle, and we find out that Logan outed his brother for like outing him to Vanity Fair.
Yeah. And scooped the scooper by going to Larry King.
And went to Larry King. And Veronica's like, yeah, I mean, unless he didn't tell Vanity Fair. And Logan's like, how else would he have known? And she's like, yeah, I don't know. So then he's like, yeah, I do wish, though, I could get back. I gave him the family pocket watch that was from my great granddad or whatever, because, you know, I felt bad he didn't have anything from our family. And Veronica's like, well, in my world, liars don't get to keep like what they steal. So she goes and she confronts Logan.
Yeah. Takes another day.
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, give me the pocket watch back. And he's like, all sassy about it or whatever. But he gives it back. And then she's like, I have one more question too. How did you get Logan's information? He's like, oh, I've had a tap on Charlie Stone's phone since we figured this out, basically. And so then Veronica's like, hey, Logan, your real half brother is innocent. Finn.
Yep. Which sucks. And then, so delivers that devastating news to Logan, and then finish off the episode by Logan leaving another message for Charlie of like, hey, so I fucked up.
Yeah, sorry I just blew your life into the limelight because someone tapped your phone.
Yep. Yeah. God, poor Logan this episode. Just up, down, up, down.
Yeah. It's tumultuous.
Absolutely.
Being human is messy. And then in this fictional world, it's very messy, especially for Logan.
Yeah, extremely. To the nines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of a weird episode, but...
it's a weird week, so it fits perfectly.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't... after we kind of get like going with the beginning of like the frat and then Keith and Harmony, I was assuming that the Logan fraud thing was going to be like another episode or two. It's like, oh, she starts investigating now, and then like gets back around to it. It's like, oh no, okay, we're just like cleaning it all up today.
Yeah, it's quick.
It is. Blink and you miss.
On that note, plugs.
Yes.
When we are not talking into microphones, you can find me over on butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO. Leave off the rest of the word. I am a life and career coach, so I have all my offerings there. I have free coaching blog posts over there if you want to look into it and you're like, can I afford coaching? Do I want coaching? Is coaching for me? I also have a YouTube channel where I post free coaching content. It's But Really Though, spelled just like the website. And you can follow me on Instagram. That is where I'm most active. And you can get lots of free resources. You can get access to me. You can message me. You can call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I did not watch a lot of Kim Possible, but...
Oh, did you not?
No.
I enjoyed Kim Possible quite a lot.
I never liked how the character looked. I felt like it was unproportional for like a real teenager.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You're probably right.
And I was like, I don't like this. It makes me uncomfortable. But I also, what do I know? I just couldn't tell you what the character like looked like now. I just remember as a younger person being like, this isn't for me. Like the way this character looks, and it's the whole I'm not like other girls thing. And but
she was a cool spy, and that's why I liked it. I like spies.
Yeah, well, and it's totally fair.
Yeah.
She was basically like Harriet the Spy, but modern. Do you ever read Harriet the Spy?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple boy with simple pleasures.
My Instagram is But Really Though, but it is BTRLYTHO.
We also do another podcast called But Really Though that goes up every Wednesday. where we talk about conspiracy theories, urban legends, myths, and even hidden nuggets about history that we don't know enough about. So anything and everything. And that goes up every Wednesday. You can find us on Twitter at ButReallyThoughPod. And this podcast is also on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. You can also send us an email at marsrewatch@gmail.com. And, I guess finally, I'm on Twitter. And that is at Pyle Brenton. That's PYLEBRENTON.
All right. Stay toasted, marshmallows.